afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Alaia Leighland, and this is an episode of the Enchanted Life Salon brought to you on Look Who's Talking Vision. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of something, and let's contemplate the enchantment that is our life. Good morning, everybody. This is Alaia. Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever, wherever, and whenever you are. This is Alaia, and I am coming to you from Kailua Kona, Hawaii, and we're doing something a little different this morning because the announcement that is on the website and that you guys have been seeing all week basically talks about our baby boomer information that we do on Sunday mornings from 9:30 until 10 o'clock normally. Well, guess what? We're going from 8:30 this time until 10:30. So we got 2 hours, and there's a lot of things that we're going to chunk into that 2 hours for you, starting with a very special treat from my coach. He's my coach. And then we're going to go into a little segment on gemstones and whatnot, and then at 9:30, Lynn and I will be talking about safety in traveling. So you've got a whole lineup of 2 hours of goodies. And let me tell you about David Bowden. David Bowden was the inspiration for getting me off the couch and out there doing marathons, if you can believe that. And those of you who know me for a while know that I did not get off the couch. I didn't get out from in front of the computer. That was my place. And he was a big change for all that. So let me tell you about David. David Bowden, who is often referred to as Coach, briefly played NFL with the Washington Redskins. But that was only the beginning. He has 38-plus years as a coach and an educator. He is a member of the Lions Club here in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, and he steps to the plate and is an incredible community player. Coach of team and training for the Honolulu Marathon in 2011, which is where he trained me, David is passionate about inspiring and working with others to manifest their personal dreams. His two favorite phrases are, "It is doable," and "it is obtainable." There is an annual event in remembrance of David every January 13th. It's set up to honor him as coach and educator, and it's called David Bowden Day, and the annual David Bowden Relays track and field meet at Boyd Anderson High School in Florida. David has coached at Kealakekee High School on the Big Island and was director of a boot camp for elementary school. In 1996 and 2002, David was a member of the Olympic Torch Relay Team, National Track and Field in Florida, and Cross Country Coach of the Year. David was selected to the Broward County Hall of Fame in Florida in 2000, and he was a coach at the Boyd Anderson High School, where he coached 6 teams to win state championships. The Miami Herald named David Coach of the Year for track and field 7 times, and the Sun Sentinel named David as Coach of the Year 6 times. He was a Teacher of the Year at Boyd Anderson, and the New York-based Children's Press wrote a book called Track and Field Fundamentals that was about David and his athletes. Internationally, David has coached and trained and taken teams to compete in Australia, New Zealand, and most recently, he just returned from Jamaica. Good morning, David.
Top of the morning, Alaia. That's a lot.
You have been
your
a
audience,
man.
Oh, yeah. As your audience can see and visualize, I've been hopping and popping, But I always say life is about movement. Keep moving, Keep your hands busy. That'll keep your heart healthy, Yeah, so...
This is very true. And you have sort of made it your mission to be out there, to be in the community, to be working with people and helping them to realize their dreams. What inspired you from the beginning to be that kind of a lighthouse for people, children and adults, to move to fitness?
I get an excellent question, and I would answer it this way. As a ninth grader, growing up in Tampa, Florida, I was asthmatic, and asthma is very debilitating. And I had one of my high school coaches who I just recently spoke with. His name is Billy Reed in Tampa, Florida, to actually just pluck me out of the hallways and asked me to come out for the football team. And after doing that, asthma was pretty much a no-sin for me because I would go back and get checkups, and the doctor would say that, ask me what I've been doing. I'd say, well, I'm out, I'm doing running, being physical. He said, keep doing what you're doing because it keeps your bronchial tubes open. Now, getting back to your question, Coach Billy Reed plucked me. You know, he helped me out. He nurtured me. There are other coaches, Ronnie Brown, Abraham. It's a lot of guys that in the community that helped me out. So that left a resounding effect on how I deal with myself, the community, anyone in general. So, you know, I had help nurturing along the way, so I figured nothing else for me to do was give back, you know, which I think is so very important in the community, you know.
Exactly.
I always would tell my athletes, you know, carry yourself in the proper manner because Joe Public is out there, you know. And if you, yeah, you know. And they see what you do and your actions and that kind of thing, and it reflects on where you came from, you know. As Dr. Martin Luther King once stated, you know, there's always a time to do the right thing. Do the right thing, and treating people right is the right thing to do. So, you
Absolutely.
know, it's just a lot that I grew up with that I just pretty much transcend into my life. And as they say, if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So, you know, I've been doing that. You know, just trying to.
You've been blessed.
Back. Yeah, been blessed. Right.
You've been blessed.
Sure.
Yeah. Now you just came back from Jamaica, and you were down there inspiring an athletic team or an individual. What were you doing? What were you doing in Jamaica?
Well, I was. Back in August, I was one of my athletes invited me there. It was during the Olympic season. One of my top stars back in 2000, Michael Frater, he's captain of Jamaican Olympic team. And first of all, I went there for a wedding. And then one of my it's just so many athletes I have in that area that migrated to Florida who ran for me that are doing extremely well. But he got me an appointment, an interview with the radio station as well as the TV station, TVJ, and I pretty much talked about Michael Frater's journey through high school and becoming the captain of the Jamaican Olympic team, which was a highlight of his life for sure, his family life. His mother, Monica, and his brother, Lindell, has always been there for him. But getting back to why I went to Jamaica this time, it was all about a huge, absolutely huge boys and girls track and field championship, and it's called Champs. And I've been hearing about Champs since back in, the early 80s, how competitive it was with the young athletes coming out of whether it's the Back Hills or whether it's the city of Kingston, Mobay, Ochus Rios. From all over the country they would come in. The teams would come in and compete. So I had the time to go to Champs this year after I was invited because another athlete, he's trying to get a team going there as well. But going there and seeing this meet for the first time after hearing a lot about it, it just opened my eyes even further. And I had never, ever seen a meet as competitive And I thought pin relays on our side here on the mainland was one of the biggest meets, but I learned that it wasn't. Champs is by far the biggest meet on the planet, I think, after seeing it this year, You had kids who, young adults who broke over 25 records, from top to bottom. And it was just good, wholesome competition.
Now, what was the ages of these children?
The ages range from, junior high, so we're talking about maybe 14 through 19, that
okay.
area, So.
And are these kids are they're training in order to maybe be part of the Olympics, or are they just training because this is part of their high school curriculum? What is driving them? What is their ultimate goal in this? Do you know?
Well, the ultimate goal, as I see it, and as young athletes from Jamaica and all across the mainland who came to me, is to, if nothing else, vie for a spot on the Olympic team. Now, that's what they're shooting for. Jamaica has such a rich tradition, going all the way back to the Honorable Herb McKinley back in the 50s, who was the first gold medalist for the country in track and field. Most of the universities throughout the mainland have some Jamaican athletes, whether it be male or females, on their team. And when they come to a team here on the mainland, they make an impact because of their work ethic. So, you look at that, and they're looking for an education. They're looking for a way out and that kind of thing. So, I was just fortunate to be in the position at Boyd Anderson to lend and give support in direction to these young athletes, So, it's just a – go ahead. I'm sorry. What
is fascinating me about this, Jamaica is, according to what the U.S. portrays, the mainland U.S. and the news media U.S. portrays, it's party central if you go to Kingston and those places, or it's a poverty-ridden place. There doesn't seem to be any portrayal of Jamaica as anything other than that. So for people who have not visited the country, where are these kids coming from? And second question, how are these kids, because they obviously seem different than our kids, how are these kids, what is it that drives them to be such excellent competitors and, aspiring to such greatness when our kids seem to be languishing? What's there?
Well, kids are kids no matter where they're from, and the inspiration and the motivation, not desperation. That's what I focus on, the inspiration and the motivation. And I said to Micah Frater, who ran on that 4x1 with the fastest man on the planet, Usain Bolt, I said to him that you all, speaking of the Jamaican track and field, ladies and men's team, has inspired a whole nation. So these kids, it's a way out for them. Poverty is everywhere, but there are people who are doing some excellent things in Jamaica. I tell you, some of my athletes that I coach, I'm just blown out of the water about what they're doing there to make a difference, So in other words, they pretty much, some of the things that they learn here on the mainland, they take back and institute it in their society, and whether it be in the countryside or whether it be in the big cities, Kingston and that kind of thing, to try and make a difference. This was for my third time going to Jamaica. I went there back in 1981 with my first state champion, and his name was Chris Thelwell. He went on to get a scholarship and did extremely well, and he's working for a bank now and that kind of thing. But it's one of those things where in the country, it's rich. It's rich in vitality. It's rich in resources. The people are happy all the time, but there's a degree of poverty. You can't get past that. But they're making a way out of no way, I say. So it's good to see. Also, go ahead. I was going to say I also had the privilege this time, since I was working with the various schools here and youth groups. There's a young lady on the island by the name of Evelani McCullough. She's tennis. She was a tennis player at UCLA from Jamaica. Okay, her son Luca is at one of the local schools here, and he's a sprinter. And he had this dying desire to meet some of the Olympians. So she made it possible for she and Luca to go to Kingston, being as though that's where their roots are from. But they've been here on the Big Island for, I don't know how long, a long time. But the mother was a tennis star at UCLA. She even played for the Jamaican national team at one time, and she was quite the tennis star. But having said that, this young man, Luca, he got a chance to see his roots. He got a chance to meet Frater at a dinner one of my athletes had. So it was just a homecoming type of thing that everybody was able to get something from, and just being there, seeing some of the athletes that I had coached and what they're doing, it was just heartwarming and that kind of thing, So it was a good experience.
The other question that I have for you, because you're working with, as you said, there is poverty there. You're working with kids that don't have resources, or are the kids who make it to work with you and to come to the U.S. and be in the U.S., are these kids maybe a little more upper class in Jamaica than everybody else, or are they right down there with, are they the average Jamaican citizen, or are their parents a little more affluent for their economic situation?
They're just average. They're average. In some cases, the families might have a little bit more means, but what I've had the privilege to work with were just average Jamaicans who just want to make a better path for themselves as well as their families. And I can quote some stories that's just some aha moments that you say, wow, we actually did help this young man, find his path. And now he's helping his family find his path here on the mainland. So it varies. It varies, and we didn't look at the only thing. I always say a happy face is a happy heart. So when a kid would come to me, I would just embrace that and try to give him as much as I possibly can to nurture him through he or she through their journey, through that high school stress mess, if you want to call it, because it can get to be that at times. But we're very fortunate, and I can't say that enough. It was very pleasing and groundbreaking, to be able to, touch to say something to an athlete that made a difference, and that's what it's all about, trying to make a difference, and,
right. And you had that effect on the kids that you worked with in Florida, and it sounds like a lot of those kids, some of those kids at least, were from out of the country, from Jamaica. So when you came to Hawaii, which is where you are now, you weren't really ensconced into teaching, but you do what you do because that you are a teacher forever and a coach forever. So you ended up working in the school system here. Did you find the students here different as far as ambition and stick-to-itiveness than the children in Florida and the children in Jamaica?
Yeah, the beautiful story and the happy truth about that is, as I mentioned earlier, kids are kids no matter what walk of life they come from, and they're just looking for direction. And if I'm, since I'm here on the Big Island and have absolutely loved it being here, I try to just share. After 40-plus years in the arena of teaching and that kind of thing, it was, I saw myself doing doing a little different this time, reaching out, but not totally in the trenches, because at Boyd Anderson, it was like 24/7 type of love for what I was doing. And I had assistant coaches, family and community who circle us, okay? And the same thing here, parents want the best for their kids no matter where you are. And I found that being here and being retired, I can lend a little bit more to the community by not restraining myself to one given situation or school. I'm at the Royal Tennis Center. With a group of young tennis players, which I give directions to with speed enhancement drills, coordination drills, and reaction drills. There's a young lady by the name of Sarah Tsukamoto who she's ranked, and Sarah's only 13 now, and she's ranked in the top 5 in the nation in tennis under the tutorage of tennis with Evan Schrimmer, who's the tennis pro at Royal Corner. And he just called me in to give these young adults, these directions, on speed and reaction and that kind of thing, which I think, and he know that it pays off, it put a little bit more pep in their step, a little more glide in their stride and that kind of thing, so that they can, advance. And Sarah's not the only one in this group.
Having said that, I remember hearing you also say that many of your students have gone on to become everything from airline pilots to doctors to accountants to lawyers and all of this. It sounds like this early training that they get in discipline, in focus, in physical readiness and taking care of their bodies and all of that is a first step to being successful in life. So what is it that people can do with their children in order to get them to be interested enough to come out and become part of a program like yours, so that their children will have this heads up, this extra bump in order to be successful later on?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. I started real early with young adults in the inner city of St. Louis, and at a middle school, grade school type situation. And what I would do is institute the training that would absolutely and positively try to nurture kids and push them to the point wherein they never quit. They don't want to quit. And that's that fine line that you try to impart in kids, no matter what level it is, whether you're playing kickball, whether, just starting out at a low level. But you try to plant a seed wherein quitting is not an option. You follow through. And if after following through and you don't want to do that anymore, you don't. But don't quit in the process. That's one of the main keys, one of the main hooks that you have to instill in young adults as they develop and grow. I found that to be so true. And just giving them positive begets positives,
Right.
And that negative syndrome, you just kick that out of the window as fast as you possibly can. Because I can say that through trial and error. Speaking of running marathons, I ran over 20 marathons, and a lot of training and that kind of thing. It was just something totally new to me. As you know, when you ran your first, there's an ozone out there. You don't know what's going to happen. But when those negatives began to kick in, you have to kick them out as fast as you can. That will get you to the finish line. And that's what you try to impart, never quit, just try to follow through, and if it's something that, it's not manageable for you, then you don't do it anymore, at the end of it, But that's the seed you try to plant.
Once you have started, the idea is you have to get through to the finish, and then you can change your mind and go in a different direction.
Correct. Because, a cherished memory can be sustained for a lifetime. So, during the process, you're going to have some cherished memories, And I when I talk with athletes, no matter where they are, and as you mentioned, I just take a deep breath when I think about the magnitude of these young student athletes that I had the privilege of coaching, teaching, and just passing their way for a minute or two of what they're doing today. It's just, it's mind-boggling, but, it's good. It just gives you a happy heart because today I get calls from the mainland because some of my athletes, they have kids now and they're growing up. In fact, one, his name is Errol Williams. He's in Atlanta and he works for the Intercontinental Hotel Group. He has 4 sons, and he called me for a track program in Atlanta. So, I had to try to expedite that for him, but he knows it's time to get them into a program, and he wants them to be into a program that's pretty much like we had, that he came to.
Right.
So it revolves, as they say, the circle of life, it comes back around, and you want your offsprings to have the best so they can move on and,
absolutely.
Live a hopeful life. Yeah.
Now, we're going to have you back on again. We're going to hear more from you because this is really inspiring and people can learn so much. And today we spent most of our time talking about kids because you had just come back from Jamaica doing your training with kids, but you also work with senior citizens, whatever that means, and with adults in order to inspire them to athletic excellence. So for today, we're about to wind up, but I want to ask you if you were going to give people a little tip on how to get themselves out of bed and on the street and so that they can be moving their body, what would that tip be? What is a little trick that will get them to go out when it's raining or go out when it's cold or go out when they don't feel good or whatever? What would that be?
Just do it. As Nike said, and no matter where you are when it comes to fitness, the life that we lead is all about cardiovascular fitness, keeping that ticker going, Even if you just get up and go for a walk, it could be 10 minutes initially. Just get out. There's an X factor. There's a scientific formula about being out in the fresh air, inhaling that fresh oxygen, which energize, your entire body, So exercise is such a catalyst for our life. So, the first step out of the door, you're ahead of the game. Once you make up in your mind, no matter where you are when it comes to fitness, power walking is one drill that you start with, just easy steps. You can count your steps. However, you might want to helm your fitness, but stay within yourself. Don't overextend yourself. Don't come out of that comfort zone. But first and foremost, know your body. It might be good if you get advice from, in terms of your physical health, from a doctor, something like that, to give you a go-ahead if you've been sitting, if you've been a couch potato for a long time. But if you are active, just keep doing it. Like I say, life is about movement, and we just have to keep moving. Okay, and that's so very important.
So it's to get a move on.
Yeah, get a move on. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's about it. Because
is there a place that people can contact you if they want to be coached, or if they have kids that want to be coached? Is there a place to find you?
Yeah. My email is D as in David, Bowden at AOL.com. And usually my mobile is very accessible. And even though it's a long distance, it's I repeat, 954-609-1313. Yeah, and if someone want to call just to get some tips from the top on advice about where they might be at this point in time, when it comes to fitness and want to improve, by all means, I'll be available.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on this morning and sharing with us your wisdom and the things that you've learned and that you're continuing to learn and share. And we will see you next week, maybe.
Thank you very much, and aloha and mahalo, Alaia.
Aloha.
Okay.